Yeah, so hello guys. So especially those of you that are in 115, this is for you. We have done this in class, but I just thought I should put them down. Mean that I've not really been able to give much of this to you. So just so let's do this now. So we discussed the definition of language in class, and what we expose you to is actually to look at language and its features, to define language and its features. So we look at its features in short. And also we look at the factors that affect the issue of language change. Yeah, I don't know. What are we expected to be able to do to be able to give definition of language, to identify the features of language, and also discuss the factors that lead to language change. So the first question is, what is language? Now, there are many definitions, but let's look below the one from the Encyclopedia Britannica. Of course, we discussed different definitions in class, so let's look at this and see if we can pick out all the features that we identified in class. So it says that language is a system of conventional spoken, manual, or maybe if you say signed, that's you know this signature that's used for deaf people, deaf mute people. So then written symbols, and take note of symbols too, by means of which human beings, as members of a social group and participants in its culture, express themselves. The functions of a language include, of course, communication, expression of identity, play, imaginative expression, and emotional release. So these are the different ways that the encyclopedia try to define language. And if you see now, we try to, the one that is not indicated with a link, we try to make it bold so that you can actually easily identify the features we are going to be discussing later. Now let's look at some more definitions. So we look at Sassoon 1960. It said the language is the faculty of articulating words. Then Sapre 1921 said language is purely human and non-instinctive method of communicating ideas, emotions, desires, and desire by means of a system of voluntary produced symbols. So you see again symbols, you see again system, you see again communication. So let's go on. Let's look at Cook and Said for 1995. It said that language as genetic inheritance. Of course, again, telling you that it's a human thing, a mathematical system, again, system, a social fact, a social, the expression of individual identity. Again, you see identity, of course, which is embedded in culture, and you see expression, which is about production. The expression of cultural identity. Then you see this is a very expanded definition. The outcome of dialogue, logic, interaction, a social semiotic, the intuitions of native speakers, the sum of attested data, a collection of memorized chunks, a rule-governed discrete combinatory system, or electrical activation in a distributed network. I mean, this guys, this is very expanded. I don't know what I'll be explaining here now that these are not really taken care of. So let's look at another definition. Also, Chomsky and Fitch, 2002. It says, in informal usage, a language is understood as a culturally specific communication system. In the variety of modern linguistics that govern us here, the term language is used quite differently to refer to an internal component of the mind and brain. So that is that's Chomsky, Husserl et al. So they again, you are seeing, of course, everybody knows Chomsky with his issue of mind and brain concerning the language. But essentially, we are looking at it that it has it has usage, and it has communication, all these things. So let's look at some more definitions. So Harley 2003 says, well, a language is a system of meaning, a semiotic system. Okay. Nuna 2007 says, okay, let me look first at Fado, because I actually be following the dates. Language, Fasold and Conor Linton say language as a final system of elements and principles that make it possible for speakers to construct sentences to do particular communicative job. So again, you're talking of system, you're talking of elements, you're talking of communication, you're talking of speakers, you're talking of expression. So let's look at Nona 2007. Say language as a tool for communication. So here, language is a tool. Very simple and direct, and it's for communication. Because essentially, if language is not used for communication, I don't know what it will be used for. So yeah, again, language is foremost a means of communication, and communication almost always takes place within some sort of social context. So language is rule-based system of science. So we are seeing two things being said here. Language is a means of communication. Communication takes place within social context, which we emphasize in class. Language is rule-based system of science. So science there is talking about code, it's talking about expressive elements. Yeah, so is rule-based and system. I'm sure this person will likely be connected to the likes of Chomsky. So Hamburg, of course, how did it cause it actually a social semiotic system, so which captures all that we are saying. So let's look at another definition. So we have some more definitions here. So a communication system composed of arbitrary elements which possess an agreed upon significance within a community. These elements are connected in rule-governed ways. So in 2009 again, Edwards, and again communication system. Again, you see here arbitrary elements, but agreed upon signification within a community which is social, and elements are connected in rule-governed ways. Again, that's what language actually systematic. So let's look at the next one. Unpacking definition: language as a rule-governed discrete combinatory system. Again, there's a system, there's a rule. We see the language is a system. It's comprised of discrete segments, phonemes, lexemes, morphemes. Language is a social fact. So Larson and Friedman 2011 says that. So let's look at Robbins and Crystal 2021. It says language is a system of conventional spoken manual signed. So again, when it says signed, it could mean that hand, like we have in the kind of hand signs that you use for the deaf mute, or written symbols by means of which human beings. So it says again, language is a human thing. As members of social group that participants and participants in its culture express themselves. So we just be looking at this different definition that we are able to gather from in terms of our research. So let's see why we know that the various definition branch out into different perspectives. We also observe how some common themes typically run through them. No, they are by different scholars, but then we see that they are different. They have different main functions of language. So language is a tool of communication. Language is a completely governed system of discrete segment. Language is a mini entity and is an expression of identity, and language is a representation of thought. So we have seen that again expressed. Then so we look at again what QCY 2026 that is a sign known as read through definition are not restricted to anything. So these are things that we're able to call from our research out of there. So you may look at definitions based on this, and which is the first assignment that we gave you that you have submitted. And many of you have very interesting definition that you submitted. So we are looking at features of language now. So let's look at features that we are able to gather as we have gone through the definition. So now language is conventional. Language is arbitrary, because when it says agreed upon, that's what it means. It means that it's conventional. It means that it's the total agreement within the community of its users. Then that it is arbitrary. That means that when you say chair, it doesn't mean the chair has to look like chair. Now, chair in English is also mean what it means ijoko. Ijoko means something to use to sit down in Yoruba. we call it aga in my place in Okpe. We call it aga. So what now there are different symbols to represent the same element. So that tells you that it's actually arbitrary, then it's symbolic. So it is representative. Then it is human, and I've said it over and over again. Language is human, so it is used by human beings to communicate. Then there's also a picture that it is a social group, so it occurs within a social context. So this is also very an important feature that you will take note of. Then we say it's communicative, that means expressive, and then we also say it is because if there's no if language is not used to express something, then what are you using it to do? Then we say it is productive. So because it is expressed, whether you are expressing it vocally, or you are expressing it in terms of written symbols, that is textually, whichever way you decide to express it, but it is productive. So what makes a language? So now there are many characteristics that we have tried to do. There are several characteristics that communication styles must have in order to count as a language. Now this includes its arbitrariness, its sociality, symbolism, systematicity, physiology, its conventionality, productivity. So this is called from studies.com. So we have actually tried to break it down in our previous discussion. So functions of language, what do we do with language? So that is the question. So the first thing that we have said is for communication. Because if a language cannot communicate, why do we have language? Because the real essence of language actually is to express and to get across what you are thinking, what you are imagining, what you want to say, your purpose, your plan. It is to get it across. So communication is a major function of language. There is also for self-expression. So for self-expression, it helps you to what do you call it now? So to express what you are feeling, you cannot keep it in your heart, because sincerely, if you are keeping things in your heart, you may likely have health problems. So but for self-expression, you have language to do that. So why will you keep things in your heart? Even to express your joy. So I mean, you can scream, you can speak to somebody. So for self-expression, so language is also another important thing. Then social interaction. Language is used for social interaction. It's used for so by through language you're able to interact with them, you're able to talk to them, you're able to share their experiences, you're able to communicate what you feel, you're able to hear what they feel, you're able to hear from them and all of that. Then it's for shared experiences. So because with that language you won't be able to actually tell somebody, oh, like children, people really need to study the language, because when a child is feeling pain, people that actually study the baby language will actually know when a child the kind of cry, because the mother that actually have been watching and been interacting with the child will know when a child cry in a particular way. You will know what, no, like my grandchildren this evening, their mother was telling them, hey, oh yeah, she have told you that grandma's birthday. They were saying, ah, I know you didn't tell me. I was like, I mean, why was she put herself in this spot? When she knew, she said she had been busy since morning. And then she probably did not have time to tell them anything. And she was not asking them that kind of question. And of course, children being the children they are. You just said, but you didn't tell us, you know. So, So I was just laughing. I was just, why is this young woman put herself in this kind of bad spot now? So, so with language, you can actually share experiences and express what you feel. And I mean, of course, we talk about people being discreet and all of that, but then if you need to express yourself, why? Anyway, yes, it is good. Maybe, but children don't know that. They don't yet know that. They say you actually beat them to eat and teach them to shut up. But when you bring all your children to be able to express themselves, they will actually say what they think. They will tell you. I know a child that I think it was in Milton Keynes in the UK. Actually, I saw the light had changed to red before the man crossed. But the young woman, I think she was not looking. She saw when the light was red, but she didn't know it was green. When the father just went, I said, Daddy, you are running the red light. Daddy said, no. She was insisting. And I said, yes, your light has changed before your father moved. She now said, are you sure, Auntie? I said, yes, I'm sure. Yeah, so and that is just it, that that these things, if you train your child to be able to really speak, they will be able to say what they think they should say. And the child that that will just say, Daddy, it's not nice. You should not have run the red light. You do think that kind of child will run the red light when because it's ingrained. This is a child. I know she's a teenager now. I think if not, yes, she's a teenager now. But she was a very young girl then. I think whether about 8 or less at that time I'm talking about. That was in 2014. Yes. So you can just know that that kind of thing, that this sheer experience that the child already has ingrained in her, and she will not be thinking of some of these things that we do that we think is smartness when we are running red light in Nigeria. It is not smartness, it is foolishness. So you can give more function that you have come across. What have you used language to do? I mean, you don't even need to go and ask somebody. That part of scholarship, you can look at your own internal experiences and be able to say what you think it is about. So in summary, what have we discovered? We have discovered the definition of language. We are giving many. We gave examples of definition by scholars. We identified the key feature of the language as a concept. We also discovered the functions of language. I think that this is basically the thing we cover in class, but I hope this helps you to actually understand better the lesson we did then, because I know I taught only half of the class then because when we just started. So I hope this helps somebody. So please, this assignment I've given you, you have submitted it. Give your own definition of language, identify 5 important features of language, and discuss one of them in relation to the definition you gave above. Examine what important function you use language to perform in your everyday life. So if you are watching this video and you are not a member of that class, this last one is what you can do. You can put in the comment and tell us exactly what you think you have important use of that you use language to perform in your everyday life. Thank you very much, guys. So see you guys in the next video.